Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Always perfect way to start any day is the morning offering, the prayer, obviously, or one of the prayers that you select, because there are so many great options. But also, your morning prayer to us is the fact that you're listening, and we thank you so much for it. We're so appreciative of you being here. You make the show. And, of course, our morning offering to you, Pat Odie Murray, Dave Vacheris, and yours truly, Ron Finn. And, of course, we surround ourselves with the best and the brightest, including Matthew Archbold. We're going to find out what's on his mind coming up. And also, boy, what a beautiful world with the corporate travel team. We're going to Medjugorje in a manner of speaking. So we can't wait to do that. And, of course, a chat with Pat is coming up later. Always a wonderful guest. It's Thursday. That means Joan Watson. And we'll also got a little trivia quiz to spring on my two co-hosts as we have a little fun, keeping it Catholic, but having a little fun. Plus, Dave's Word of the Day is coming up very soon, so get ready for that from Scripture Readings today. Matthew Handley is here to bring us up on the news.
Good morning, Ron, and good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, July 9th. Here's what's happening. U.S. CENTCOM reports American airstrikes are once again being conducted inside Iran. It comes hours after President Trump announced the ceasefire was over and called Iranian leaders scum.
For the second consecutive night, American forces are striking Iran. According to Iranian state media, there have been explosions in southern Iran along the Strait of Hormuz, which is in line and in keeping with what we have seen these strikes look like in the past, coming from Central Command, targeting military infrastructure, air defense systems that exist along that coastline, but also any launch capabilities that had historically been used to target commercial ships.
That's News Nation's Robert Sherman reporting from Qatar. U.S. CENTCOM says the airstrikes are in response to Iranian attacks on commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. In response, Iran's Revolutionary Guard says it has launched attacks on U.S. bases in Kuwait and Bahrain in retaliation for recent American strikes. Graham Plattner is dropping out of the race for Maine's U.S. Senate seat. The Democrat announced his decision following a recent sexual assault allegation. In a video statement, Plattner railed against the political establishment and maintained his innocence. He claimed, quote, those in power are using the allegations to take away his ability to run for Senate by withholding funding. The Maine Democratic Party has announced in a statement posted on X that they have voted to, quote, hold a nominating convention to choose a new nominee. Planned Parenthood has regained access to federal funding. As of July 5th, Planned Parenthood clinics can bill Medicaid for reimbursement for contraception, STD screenings, and other non-abortive services. The Big Beautiful Bill Act stripped funding to the abortion giant, but only for 1 year. Kelsey Pritchard, communications director at SBA Pro-Life America, told EWTN News that now is the time for Congress to renew defunding for Planned Parenthood. About 1.5 million people have been forced to leave their homes, and 1,600 have been killed by gang violence in Haiti. And that's just in the last 3 months. Carlos Ruiz Messu, United Nations Secretary General's special representative for Haiti, said criminal groups control at least 70% of the capital, Port-au-Prince. The deterioration began in 2021 when President Jovenel Moise was assassinated. Ruiz Messu reiterated that despite the UN Security Council's backing for the International Security Support Mission, coordinated action on security, justice, and development will be needed to restore stability to the country. And the canonization cause for servant of God Rhoda Wise has cleared in another administrative hurdle. Formal documents detailing her life and heroic virtue were submitted to the Vatican's Dicastery for the Causes of Saints, and the Vatican confirmed their receipt this week. Wise was a spiritual mentor and healer to many, including EWTN foundress Mother Angelica. I'm Matthew Handley and Ron Finn. That is the news this morning.
Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Now I feel up to date.
Yeah, great news about Rhoda Wise, right? And so that made me think, we all have our own kind of personal devotions. We have these wonderful opportunities in our church, so rich with so many opportunities. And I just wanted to ask both you, Pat and Ron, what is your favorite devotion among them? Particularly right now. I know that changes over time. Sometimes we go from one thing to the next. But Pat, what's on your heart and mind now that's kind of part of your daily routine, your turn to?
My turn too. The Divine Liturgy is always my go-to. That was kind of a hit and miss thing for a while. Now
Yeah.
it's become a daily practice.
So rich, right?
Yeah, the Psalms are just so beautiful, and you think, I could have written these today. I mean, this is
Yeah.
it is your it's your cry to the Lord, and so I love that. So that's kind of a daily ritual for me, and the rosary, obviously.
Right.
But I think, I was trying to think when you emailed about that, and I thought, well, if I had to say my favorite devotion, even though I don't say it every day, would be the
Right.
Way of the Cross. I mean, Stations of the Cross just speak very loudly to me. And I've been kind of doing a little bit with the Rosary of the Sorrowful Mother.
Oh, nice.
The seven.
The Seven Sorrows.
Yeah.
And I love the Litany of St. Joseph, obviously, and the Anima Christi. I mean, that's a prayer
Oh, yeah.
that I'm praying after reception of the Holy Eucharist every time. And I don't know, it's kind of, you kind of pray like a child sometimes,
Yeah.
which I find very helpful. And I know Pope Francis has been attributed to the five-finger prayer. Have you heard this prayer?
Yeah.
Oh, no, tell me about it.
So on the thumb, you pray for those closest to you, family, friends, and loved ones. Index finger, praying for teachers, pastors, mentors, and those who guide others. On the middle finger, you pray for leaders, the tallest one, right? Government officials and those in authority. And on the ring finger, you pray for the sick, the weak, the struggling, those in need. And then the pinky finger, well, you pray that for your own needs and spiritual growth. So it's just a quick little way to use your hand to pray.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, my devotion that is my go-to. Not that I pray it every day, but I usually have a novena going for this one, and it's Our Lady on Door of Knots.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to tell you real quick the story. It's just a few sentences. The story begins with Wolfgang Langenmantel with his wife Stoffi, who were on the verge of divorce after years of marital strife. Wolfgang, a German nobleman, sought counsel from Jesuit priest Father Jacob Rem. During their final meeting, Wolfgang gave the priest his wedding ribbon, the cord tied during their ceremony to symbolize their union. Father Rem prayed before an image of the Blessed Virgin Mary, asking her to untie the knots of their marriage. Miraculously, the ribbon became smooth and snow white, and the couple reconciled, living happily for the rest of their lives. And that's how this devotion was born. Love the history, the birth of the thing.
Boy, me too.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. I love that, and I pray that a lot for married couples.
Oh, yeah.
So many great devotions in our wonderful Catholic faith, and discovering new ones all the time is always wonderful.
Yeah, very much so.
And, of course, we love to turn to Scripture each and every day in many different ways and many different times throughout the day. And one way to do that is with our word of the day.
I is our word for today, the one-letter version of I, taken from the book of the prophet Hosea, chapter 11. This is the Lord our God speaking to us with the intimacy of a parent. And quite frankly, something that most of us parents can relate to as well, sometimes the disappointment of a parent. Thus says the Lord, when Israel was a child, I loved him. Out of Egypt I called my son. The more I called them, the farther they went from me, sacrificing to the Baals and burning incense to idols. Yet it was I who taught Ephraim to walk, who took them in my arms. I drew them with human cords, with bands of love. I fostered them like one who raises an infant to his cheeks. Yet though I stooped to feed my child, they did not know that I was their healer. Wow. Any of us who have been in any kind of relationship in our life know this kind of love and also this kind of disappointment. Let's just say it. It's difficult. Relationships are difficult. So many relationships can have such difficulty associated with them. But here is the thing. In any human relationship, when there's difficulty, it takes two to tango, right? When we're in a difficulty in our relationship with the Lord, it's a one-way street. He's perfect. He loves us perfectly. He has sacrificed everything for us. If there's something between us and him, it's us. And he expresses this. He said, I've done everything. I have held you like a child to my cheek, like an infant to my cheek. I have held you there out of care, out of concern for you. In other words, there's nothing I won't do for you. We see this at the beginning of the reading. Thus says the Lord, when Israel was a child, I loved him. Out of Egypt, I called my son. In every other part of this reading, it's plural, not in that one. On that one, it's singular. He's talking about Jesus. He called him out of Egypt, of course. When Joseph and Mary fled to Egypt to save Jesus' life as an infant. And then he goes later, and they are able to go back after the death of the king. Yes, so he calls his son, who is our sacrifice, out of Egypt, that we might be reconciled to the Father. But in every other sentence, he's talking about plural. He's talking about all of us. He's talking about holding us to his cheek. He's talking about stooping down to raise us up, and that he is our healer. And then he says, my heart is overwhelmed, my pity is stirred. My heart is overwhelmed, my pity is stirred. Brothers and sisters, that is the relationship that we have with the Lord, each and every one of us. For all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, the scripture tells us. None of us are without that. And so there always is this relationship between us and God of him lifting us up, willingly lifting us up. When we are sick and tired, when we're weeping, holding us to his cheek as a parent does with their infant son or daughter. That's the intimacy. That's the love. I will not destroy Ephraim again. I will not allow my blazing anger to raise up, for I am God and not man, the Holy One present among you. I will not let the flames consume you. Brothers and sisters, this is a promise from our all-loving, all-powerful God, that if we desire him, he will make a way. If we say yes to him, he will make a way. His desire is for us, and his love for us is infinite. Our word for today.
Boy, such a little word and such a great meaning and context. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, it gives us a different way of looking at it. Usually, I is something we shouldn't be focusing on, right?
Right, yeah. but when that I is God, referring to himself, it's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's okay, because it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about him. So
There's no I in
thing.
team. Yeah, I'm with
That's
you. But I with God is
God,
good.
It's good.
Oh, man, I've been misspelling that word all this time.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Morning offering to continue. We're going to pick his mind, the mind of Matthew Archbold, creator of Creative Minority Report. That's coming your way next, and hopefully you can stick around for that. It's always a great conversation with Matthew. We'll be right back.
Hello again, everybody. Peter Sabilio here from Annunciation Radio, where we love your questions, and it's my pleasure to help with some answers. Today's question comes from Hayden, who asks, what does the Bible say about the 4th of July? Well, Hayden, it's a little like Thanksgiving. The Bible never mentions our 4th of July, but there's no 4th of July without the Bible. From our creation in Genesis to our creation as a nation, from the Exodus to the Promised Land to liberation from slavery in our own land. The freedom we celebrate comes from God, who roots our story of freedom in his word. So St. Paul says we have freedom from and freedom for. Freedom from factions, rage, hate. Freedom for love, joy, peace. And that fight for true freedom, as St. Francis says, well, let it begin with me. And you too. We all need the strength to accept what we cannot change, the courage to change what we can, and the divine might to change what God does not accept. As for that fight, let it begin with me and with you too. I know that's a new take on an old prayer, but it summarizes what we celebrate on the 4th of July and what we keep fighting for on the 5th of July. But for now, we celebrate your question, Hayden. Thank you so much for it. Thank you all for listening. We are listening to you. And please, everybody, have a wonderful, blessed, and happy 4th of July.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
And we are back. So thankful, so grateful that you are with us during this Thursday iteration of Morning Offering. So much more to come. We're going to be having a segment coming up in just a little bit. We're going to go to Medjugorje in a way with our partners, Corporate Travel, on our segment titled, Oh, What a Beautiful World. Looking forward to that conversation and a chat with Pat coming up as well. Pat, who is our guest today? I say like it's you and me.
Yeah,
like I'm taking credit for your chat with Pat.
It's all of us. It's all of us. It's Thursday, so that's Joni Watson.
Oh,
and
that's right.
Yeah, we're talking about her book on pilgrimage, making a pilgrimage, and it's just so interesting since we've been doing this how often the concept of pilgrimage has come up in conversation and news and anything, and I'm like, oh, it's all tied together,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Love that. Can't wait for that conversation. Normally at this time on Thursdays we have a chat with Matthew Archibald. He's not available to us today, but his website is, and so I thought we'd go to his website and kind of take a look at what he's reporting on. Always fabulous stories. If you're not checking out his website on a regular basis, I strongly encourage you to do that. CreativeMinorityReport.com. He reports on all of the big news happening in around us from a Catholic perspective and with the individualized approach of Matthew Archibald.
Yeah, it's a unique take for sure, but I'll tell you what, he exposes some things that are just, I mean, your mouth is open going, oh, what? Is this really happening? And it is. Like in Brazil, when they're sentencing, the judge is sentencing parents to jail for homeschooling without teaching diversity.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That was the one that jumped out at me too, Ron, as I looked at it. And it's very interesting because, it says they've been sentenced to 50 days in prison for the crime of homeschooling their own daughters. That's right, not abuse, not neglect, not failing to feed them. No, the charge is intellectual neglect.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Dave.
Well, there are these approved materials for those homeschooling, and they didn't use them. And all of them include the things that have driven them from sending their children to the established schools.
Yeah.
Right.
So now the government is saying, if you don't want to send your children to the established schools to learn this diversity, we're going to force you to do it through homeschooling, and they just refuse to do it. But tell me, how in the world this makes sense? You've got parents who are raising children, and they're removing them from the home to put them in prison. I mean, it's nutty.
Yeah. And I love, like, when you look at their kids, it says the girls are accomplished pianists.
Right.
They speak multiple languages.
Whoa.
So really, they're not really educated. I mean, and multiple languages, they don't have a cultural diversity background. I mean, it's crazy. And what he said in this article, which I found fascinating, was that even the prosecutor thought, we should just, he recommended acquittal after looking at the evidences and witnesses testified and all that kind of stuff. They had an educational psychologist who said there was no signs of neglect here, and the girls described a rigorous daily education. But the judge was the one who's now, this is like the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
Accused the parents of, quote, using their daughters as pawns in an ideological struggle. I'm thinking, who's using who?
Who's doing that? Yeah.
Wow. This seems like a fulfillment of living life upside down, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I know. So it is just, obviously they're hoping that this whole thing will be overturned again. But it's like, this is crazy. I mean, it's just crazy. And I think the quote from the mom sums it up the best, right? No, it was where was hers? I read this so quickly. But they're also looking at passing a bill too.
Right,
so that's a good thing. So the mother was calling out the dictatorship. She said, as a mother, I cannot conceive a more dictatorial state than the one that wants me in jail because I choose to exercise my right to direct the education and upbringing of my daughters. My husband and I are hopeful the court will recognize our right to choose the best education for our children and overturn this unjust conviction.
Well, we need to put our thumb down on this kind of behavior.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, and as she says, as a mother, I cannot conceive a more dictatorial state. Yeah, you know what? She's also the one who conceived to start with.
Yeah.
She
Whose
has
kids
some
are
parental
these?
rights here.
Yeah. Well, you remember the old quote, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
And I think that has been used
Right.
to do all these kinds of things. And I read the other day a quote that says it takes a family to raise a village.
Yeah, oh, there you
I
go.
like that.
And I'm using that one now
Yeah,
all
I
the
like
time.
that.
I'm like, let's get rid of this. It takes a village to raise a child, because what that has turned into is other people have the same rights to your kids as you do.
Exactly.
And I said, but I think we've got to be more focused on the family. You don't have a village unless you have good families. You basically have chaos if you don't have good families.
And you say, well, that's in Brazil, and they're crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? How about this one in Canada? And again, this from CreativeMinorityReport.com, the website for Matthew Archibald, another one of his stories. Canada just made quoting the Bible a hate crime. For those of you listening, if you're listening in the Diocese of Toledo, Northwest Ohio, if you're listening in Michigan, that's right next door.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
this is happening very, very close to us. Again, Canada just made quoting the Bible a hate crime.
Amazing.
Yeah. And I think, when we look at all these kinds of things, like you said, Dave, we think that's another country. We'll never have that.
Yeah.
Well, I just heard Maine has now said that if you don't follow what they want you to follow in their curriculums, et cetera, which is all the stuff that we were just talking about, they will not give you any kind of vouchers,
Right.
So like Catholic schools, Christian schools that say, yeah, we can't teach this stuff, it's wrong. They're just gonna pull their vouchers from them.
Of course.
Yeah. So I mean, we think it's in other countries, and it is, but it seeps into our country, and very subtly. They don't come right out and say, well, quoting the Bible is a hate speech, right? But it's a very subtle. This is what equality looks like. This is what And so if you don't do these things, well then, we're going to pull these things from you. And Catholics are paying taxes up there too. So.
That's right. And these Canadian this Canadian law, I mean, is so polarizing. Obviously. It's really so, according to the story here, a bill so radioactive, opposition came from both the political left and the right. Mm-hmm. So everybody's up in arms over this, but how do these things even get going? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone has to push this through against everyone else's approval, and then the debate begins. Instead of the other way around, the debate should begin first.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just a few weeks ago, the majority of the members of Parliament in Canada rejected a motion to withdraw the monstrous piece of legislation. Rejected it.
Yeah.
Said no. Bill C9 is going forward. The bill that basically says quoting certain parts of the Bible could land you in prison, especially, not surprising here, especially anything having to do with homosexuality. Mm-hmm. And the majority of Parliament voted down the idea of withdrawing this bill. We're insane. We're absolutely insane.
And Canada is kind of unique because their religious schools are they're paid for by the government. So they kind of fall into that same, and because I went up there and did some workshops in a certain part of Canada for Catholic schools.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that when I got up there, that and I said, well, if you want me to do moral theology according to the Catholic Church, I'm going to have to talk about these things,
right.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if that is going to offend, but they try to be very careful about that because they are part of the same system.
That's right. And Matthew Archibald's Creative Minority Report, I mean, he presents some very troubling stories, but he does it with such I don't know the
Humor.
way he presents it. There's humor there, and there's irony there, and it's you don't get angry. You just kind of get enlightened. So
Yes.
creativeminority-report.com. We'll be right back on Morning Offering.
Annunciation Radio wants to thank Archbold Furniture Company for their underwriting support. A faith-filled company with roots in the local community, Archbold Furniture has been manufacturing solid wood furniture since 1900. They build the furniture and partner with premier Amish finishers where it is hand-finished to match the decor of your home or office, offering everything from beds and dressers to cabinets and dining room tables. To learn more about their products and to look at their virtual showroom, visit archboldfurniture.com.
This is Dale Ahlquist with a Chesterton Minute. What is a fanatic? Well, have you ever heard someone defending animal rights as if they have completely forgotten about human rights? G.K. Chesterton says that is a perfect example of a fanatic. Someone with a sense of a particular truth that is too strong for his sense of the universal truth. He will invoke even cruelty to prevent cruelty to animals. Later, he may even invoke cruelty to animals to prevent cruelty to pit ponies. It is not merely that he has kept one thing and lost 1,000 things, he has lost the basis even of the one thing. For a man cannot long remain right without a reason. We must accept all the universal truths so that we don't go off balance with one particular truth. And where do we find the perfect balance of all universal truths? In the Catholic Church. Want more than a minute? Chesterton.org.
Are you or someone you know hurting from a past abortion? Contact Project Rachel for confidential help in starting your healing journey. Please call 419-260-5811 or visit hopeafterabortion.org. God's mercy is abundant and waiting for you. Project Rachel is here to offer confidential help on your journey to healing.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
And a nice conversation with Joan Watson on Chat with Pat later. And we're going to kind of go to Medjugorje with It's a Beautiful World with the folks from Corporate Travel. Dr. Christine Mugridge is going to be joining us once again from Sacred Arts Communications. So we're looking forward to that in the moments ahead.
Yeah, always look forward to that segment. Never know what you never know, listeners. We know in advance what beautiful place we're going to be visiting. But today we're going to be looking back at a fabulous trip that Dr. Christine Mugridge just completed to Medjugorje. Can't wait to hear all about that. Right now, Mr. Finn, what is our game of choice? It's Thursday. You get to choose.
Yes.
Choose wisely.
Well, I will try to, and if you're both ready, I don't know how up you are on the presidents of the United States.
Ooh.
But how about a Presidents of the United States quiz today?
I was hoping it would be presidents of IBM. I know them much better.
Okay.
Corporate chiefs are. So we're going to test your knowledge of presidents of the United States.
Okay.
And let's see. I guess we will start at always the best place to start is the first question. You ready?
Yeah, I think that's always.
Oh, I don't know. Go with number 4.
I can
Start
go
at
with
the
number
beginning.
4, I suppose. But all right, who was the first U.S. president to serve 2 terms in office? Was it Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, or Thomas Jefferson?
It was George Washington.
That's what I thought. I thought
Yeah.
he did the 8 years and out.
Yep.
Kind of established the tradition.
Well,
Yeah.
you know your early presidents. Very good. That's correct.
Yeah.
George. Good old George. 2
Good
terms.
old George. That's right. He
They-
said, yep, shouldn't do more than that.
They had
You know
to-
what he was known by to his friends. You know,
What?
George Washington to all of us. But to his closest friends, they called him George.
Oh. Well, I'm glad you're on a first-name basis with him, Dave.
I don't think there was a nickname, to be honest. It's
Hey,
George
Georgie
Washington, for
Porgy.
goodness sake.
That's right.
All right, which 2 U.S. presidents died on the same day?
Ooh.
Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, Ronald Reagan and Calvin Coolidge, James K. Polk and Woodrow Wilson.
Thomas Jefferson and John Adams.
On July
Well, you sound pretty
4th.
confident on
Yes,
that.
on
It was July the 4th
yeah.
in 1826.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys are civic giants.
Well, I went to Monticello, and I got to
yeah.
see all that stuff. It was so cool.
I wish you'd have told me that before I selected the quiz.
No, I'm not giving anything away. Mondays are a bad day for me, Ron, with those headlines. I got to make them up somewhere.
Okay, very good. All right, question number 3. So far, a perfect record for the two of you. So I am humbled. Who was Barack Obama's opponent in the 2008 U.S. presidential race? George W. Bush, Ross Perot, John McCain.
John McCain.
Yeah, Senator McCain.
Wow.
And
God
Sarah
rest
Sarah
his
Palin
soul.
as his
Vice
VP.
president.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I thought you might get the year mixed up because he served 2 terms. You know?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he later ran against Mitt Romney, so I thought if you
Yeah.
threw that one in, might
You
be
certainly
good.
don't need the bonus, and I'm making a note right here on this sheet, never to do this quiz again.
No, do it more often.
Do it
makes
every
me-
day.
They are
Yeah.
just too smart.
Makes me feel like I know something.
Yeah.
Which U.S. president also shined shoes of visitors at the White House? No, that's a trick one. Nobody ever did that.
Oh, okay. I was say shine shoes.
I would have guessed Harry Truman, but
Yeah,
I
That's
don't
what I
know.
have to do. I have to make up some questions so that you always get it wrong. All right, you don't need the bonus, but here it is. In which city did the first presidential inauguration occur? Was it Washington, D.C., New York City, or Boston?
New York.
Wow. I don't know this one, Pat, and you're saying it very
I'm-
confidently. I would have
well,
thought. I would have
thought it
thought
was New York.
Philadelphia, to be honest with you,
Oh,
but
no,
Philadelphia
I think
wasn't there.
Because Washington was in New York a lot.
And you know what? You're exactly right. It is New York because the presidential house was in New York.
Yeah.
I remember that now because Washington's slave ran away during
And
the
it-
dinner party in New York City, and while
Yeah.
while that was going on. So you've got to
Church
be
was
right.
there with the presidential pew. Yep.
Yeah, it's New York. Nicely done, Pat. I definitely would not, at first blush, have gone with New York, but now that you've kind of rattled my memories,
There you
there you go.
So you're
New
both
York.
saying New York City.
Yep.
Yes.
NYC, baby.
Yep.
Perfect all the way around.
There we
all
go.
the way around. Very
All right.
nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
And so there's your warm-up quiz for today.
Yeah.
And
In
now
fact,
to
you
the
saved me
real
on that
quiz.
last one. I
Not
would
of the
have
real
gotten that one
quiz.
wrong.
And,
Racehorses or rock bands?
Yeah, right.
No. We're going to do Trigonometry 101. You ready?
Oh, no.
Oh, I don't
Math, history's my thing. Math isn't. Oh my! I can do division, multiplication. You know, that's a There you go.
The next Thursday we're doing trigonometry.
Oh,
Just
there
get
you
ready
go,
for
yeah.
it. Brush up on it.
I think I feel a headache coming on. Yeah.
I'm really good at math until you put letters in there. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, if a train goes 5,000 miles an hour
Yeah.
and leaves Detroit I can't do those. Once you give me the equation, I can figure it out, but don't ask me to put the equation together.
I remember 7th grade, you had the opportunity to do advanced math or algebra, and I went into algebra. And to get ready for high school in 7th grade.
Sure.
And my algebra teacher first day said, Dave, I think advanced math is better
It's
for you.
more good than that's right.
I like you, but nah, I don't think so. I don't think you're ready for this.
Well, and I flunked basic math twice. I went to summer school for it. Basic math. Basic math.
Yeah.
You and Nate Bargatze. He said he went to college, his first year of college, his math class just said math on the outside of the book. Math. Because it was all remedial. Math.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yep. So
That's
there you
good
go.
stuff.
Very funny. Very funny.
But I love the presidents. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Jim and I would stop if we were traveling and found a presidential library. We would always stop and see it. And I'm glad we did. I mean, I loved a number of the ones that we went through. It was just, you just learned so much. You know, and I remember the first one was Gerald Ford up in Grand
yeah,
Rapids,
right,
Michigan.
yeah.
And Jim, we were in Grand Rapids doing something, I don't know, and he wanted to go, and I said, really? Gerald Ford, wasn't even elected. What are we going to find in here? I wasn't excited at all. It was really cool.
Oh, I love Gerald Ford.
Yeah, I mean, library, it was great. And so after that, I said, okay, anytime we see a library, we're stopping.
My favorite is Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Oh, I love his too.
You went too?
Yes.
Yeah. You see his house. It's just a house in the middle of the country, a farmer's house.
Yeah.
And his museum's in the backyard. I mean, just a simple, wonderful, incredible hero. Yeah.
And I loved it because both parties wanted him to run for president for them.
Yeah,
the Democrats and the Republicans. And you're thinking, really? We were that close?
Obviously too smart on presidential history for me.
Good stuff, though.
Thank you to Isabel Financial Services for their underwriting support. They offer a full range of personal and business services, including financial and retirement planning, investments, key person life and disability insurance, and 401k plans. Isabel Financial Services can be reached at 419-535-1236, located at 2346 North Reynolds Road, Toledo. Securities offered through Sigma Financial Corporation, member FINRA SIPC. Isabel Financial Services is independent of Sigma Financial Corporation.
Experience the incredible story of a woman who Time magazine named the most influential Catholic woman in the United States. Rita Rizzo, the future Mother Angelica, grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Canton, Ohio during the Great Depression. Rita's father abandoned the family before she was 5 years old. Her early years of trial were compounded by a debilitating illness until she was healed by Jesus through a woman named Rhoda Wise. That healing set her life on a course that would ultimately change the world. Learn the amazing story of Rita Rizzo at the Mother Angelica Museum in her hometown of Canton, Ohio. Go to www.motherangelicamuseum.com. Be inspired. Plan your visit now at motherangelicamuseum.com.
We invite you to join us each weekday at 3 p.m. here on Annunciation Radio for our Hour of Grace and Mercy. We begin first with the praying of the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Following that, we have Mass from Rosary Cathedral. This is an invitation to set some time apart in prayer and reflection with us, your friends here at Annunciation Radio, for this hour of grace and mercy. Share your prayer requests with us at chapletprayer@gmail.com.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
And we are back, so thankful you're with us. And we are making a connection right now to Dr. Christine Muggeridge. Hope to have a conversation with her in just a minute as part of our Oh, What a Beautiful World segment. I wanted to say this real quickly. I don't know if you guys have seen the Holy Father's, and I know we're already into the 9th of July, but his intention for the month of July, and it is just for the protection of human beings. But one of the things that he put in there that I thought was so beautiful is he said this. He said this to all of us. Both you and I have received the most beautiful gift of life, your breath, your heartbeat, your smile. All that you are is God's work of love. Will you help me protect this precious gift again during this month of July, when his intention is for the respect for human life in all circumstances? Like, okay, here's the prayer intention for everybody. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And just a reminder of the beauty that we have because we're made in the image and likeness of God.
Yeah. And it just makes all the sense in the world when you think about, where does violence, where does this disregard for life come from? And if you don't have a faith that tells you that we are created all of us are created in the image of God, then we become nothing more than animals, you know, and so highly evolved animals. And so I think, it's like, to me, and I always go back to this, Al Cres's favorite, his tagline, build the church, bless the nation. And I thought that was brilliant, because we get so involved in things of like politics in this world. It becomes the end all and be all of everything. And we don't understand that if you got to change hearts. You can make all the laws in the world, and we need law. I'm not saying we shouldn't have law, but people will do it out of fear of punishment versus understanding and love, right? And so, virtue is the internal law, we always say, right? It's the internal law. And so we want to build people that are people of faith, show them the love of Christ, get them to understand their own gifts and abilities so that they can reach out to others and bring that to others. And I think this whole thing, I mean, in a way, I love this intention, obviously, but in a way, it's kind of sad that we have to say we need to respect human life.
Yeah.
Like, where have we come from,
No, right. And again, knowing that it's anytime that we are minimizing the life of anyone, we minimize the life of everyone and have this opportunity for violence. The one thing always draws me back to is Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton inviting St. Teresa of Calcutta to that prayer breakfast in 1994.
Yeah.
And she called out our country and said, look, if you continue to kill the unborn, you're going to have violence visited upon you in so many other ways. Yeah. And those words have continued to come to pass in our own country and, quite frankly, around the world.
Yeah. I remember years ago when I was teaching, we were talking about the unborn, and I made we were talking about just the whole thing of human dignity, and I said, when you think about it, we talk about caring for the most vulnerable. That's a big thing, right? Care for the most vulnerable, and it was just a line that I said, and who are the most vulnerable? Who don't have a voice? The child within the womb has no voice.
Right.
They're the most vulnerable, and then I went on with my lesson plan. And at the end of class, one of my students stuck around, and she said to me, what you said has just changed the entire way I understand this argument. She said, now I get it. Because she was a big, kind of social justice person, but yet didn't see abortion falling within that, didn't see that the child is the most vulnerable person out there.
Right.
It has no one to speak for him other than the mom. And so, I think just these little things to get people to recognize and understand is so important.
Well, and it points back to this too, right, Pat, that it doesn't take a theologian to go into or even a you don't have to have a background in all of this to say the simple fundamental things.
Yep.
And to shock someone out of their ignorance because they've been taught all of these other things that are opposite of just good old common sense.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think we have so much again because you can't see the child.
Right.
You just don't think it, and it doesn't exist, or it doesn't mean anything, or unless I want it to mean something. I remember my husband always said, I think if every woman had a window into the womb, if they were created where you could see right in there and see that baby forming, we would have a different sense of it. But we're seeing it now on both ends.
Right.
I mean, this is not just, Ohio starting to look at this medical aid in dying, I mean, these come down to this whole idea that we just don't understand who created us and who we're created to be. And I just don't know how you get there without faith. I just don't know. When people say, well, there are good people that don't have, well, how? But what do they base their goodness on?
Right.
And
there has to be a consistency of thought and belief, right? And there has to be a consistency of speech among those of us who believe and who understand the dignity of every single human life. Don't let our speech go in a different direction regarding anyone so that we can be heard on all of these issues.
Yes, exactly. And I think there's so, This doesn't just happen overnight. These are
Right.
very, when birth control became a big thing, well, then that automatically, was our first step in saying, I'm in control. I'm in control now. I don't want kids. I want to have sex. I don't want to have kids. And so that's the first step. And as that, it's just like these are dominoes falling. Just like once you allow abortion, it's not long before you're going to look at people that
Right.
are at the other end of the spectrum and say, well, you don't have a lot of value and worth.
Yeah, it's such a predictable progression as well, or regression, I should say, because
Yes.
it happens in so many ways, and you see it how the dominoes fall.
Oh, yeah. We talked about Mother Teresa in 1994. If only there had been a document from the Catholic Church predicting Humani Vitae.
Yeah, exactly.
And a bunch
Come
of
on,
others.
guys. All you got to do is read it.
I know. And it was
It's
short.
not funny,
It's a
but my
short
goodness,
one.
the church
Yeah.
was so prophetic on that document, and all we had to do was follow it.
Yeah. Well, Dave, and we talked about this with, Pius X, his encyclical on modernism.
Right.
I mean, he was so clear as what was coming down the pike because he saw all these other philosophies now coming into play in the world and how they were going to be lived out. And people just ignored it. Well, that's a nice encyclical, but what's that got to do with my life?
And what does the church know about real life? Guess what?
Yeah.
She knew then.
Yeah.
She knew later. She knows now.
Now.
You might want to pay attention.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Ah,
All
so,
right.
yeah.
Well, we were not able to connect with Dr. Christine, but overseas, so I guess that makes sense. We'll be right back, though.
Living the Beatitudes with Father Bjorn.
Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. We get what we look for. Saint Therese of Lisieux has an interesting insight on this. Once in a discussion over the possibility of avoiding purgatory, the future saint told another member of her community, Sister Maria Fabronia, that God was more father than judge. And in this debate, she finally took the liberty of saying to the other sister, if you look for the justice of God, you will get it. The soul will receive from God exactly what she desires. Are we full of wounds and anger and hurt, and do we want to inflict that on other people? Are we allowing God to heal us? If we receive His mercy, we have to show it to others. The Beatitudes are the heart of Jesus' message. Let's be transformed by them. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Welcome to Morning Offering with Ron, Dave, and Pat. Live from the Annunciation Radio studios, Morning Offering presents a Catholic way to start your day on the Ave Maria Radio Network.
Oh, welcome aboard. Thank you so much for being here. A wonderful Thursday in the works. The Gateway to Friday is what they call it. I don't call it that, but some people do call it that. I don't know.
Well, I know what Morning Offering is up to this point every single day. It's the gateway to a chat with Pat, and that time has come, and it's Thursday, so it's Joni.
Yes, and if you are listening to the show, Thursdays, as Dave said, are with Joan Watson. Joan is an author, a Catholic speaker. She is just an amazing all-around woman. And we're talking about her book, Making a Pilgrimage, a Companion for Catholics. Great book. I would encourage you to get it, even if you're not going anywhere. Like, I'm not going anywhere. And I love this book, and it's published by Emmaus Road Press. So, Joni, welcome. How you doing today?
I am doing great. And I think you should go somewhere, Pat, but we'll talk about it.
Well, remember, we talked about that Camino, and I said, Joan,
that's right.
If you want to go, yeah, we got to do it pretty soon because I'm getting old. Okay, so so Joan, we are talking today about the section An Evangelist for Pilgrimage, and I found this very interesting because this was not the person I thought we would hear about in this section, but you bring up Carlo Acutis, St. Carlo Acutis here. Why did you focus on him in this section of the book?
Yeah, so I think I wanted to show. I was struggling with how to show these other pilgrimage sites. Right, there's so much more than just the Holy Land in Rome, and so this third chapter really tries to showcase some other pilgrimage sites. And one of my favorite places to go is Assisi, and it was also Carlo Acutis' favorite place to go. And I think sometimes we think of pilgrimage as being something ancient and not accessible to the modern. And here we have a very modern saint who loved to go on pilgrimage. And we know a lot. I think people talk about Carlo's love of the Eucharist and his love of technology, but he also really loved to travel. And I wanted to show that this wasn't just a wealthy Italian boy traveling around Europe, but that his travel really had Christ as its center. And he was so in love with the Eucharist, absolutely. But one thing he did was he went to Eucharistic miracle sites so that he could then bring those to others through technology. So even what we know about him, his love for the Eucharist, his love for technology, really at the heart is a love for Christ, which he nourished through pilgrimage. And I wanted to kind of bring that out.
Well, and you did a great job with it. Can you kind of let our audience know where were some of the places that Carlo went?
Yeah, so he went all over. He went to Lourdes. He went to Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, where the Pope Leo actually just was recently.
Oh, yeah.
He went to Pompeii, which is outside Naples, the Shrine of Our Lady of the Rosary that is getting more attention now that Bartolo Longo has been canonized. He, as I mentioned, he loved the Eucharistic miracle sites, so loved, like, Lanciano was one of his favorites because Lanciano is a relatively old Eucharistic miracle, but it's been proven, quote unquote, scientifically again and again and again. There's been a lot of scientific testing on the Eucharistic miracle at Lanciano, and so Carlo loved this intersection between faith and science. He went to France, and he loved to go, to these religious sites in France, like Rue du Bac, which is where Our Lady appeared to Catherine Labre on the Miraculous Medal. And his mom talks about, like, him going to Paris and being actually really saddened by the secularization that he saw in France. France being known as kind of this eldest daughter of the church, supposed to preserve the faith. And he was actually really saddened when they would run into people who didn't know about the sacred sites right there in Paris, who didn't know where Rue du Bac was, for example. And so we see in Carlo, I think, a very mature faith and mature approach to some of these places. And, of course, he loved Assisi, and that's one of the reasons he asked to be buried in Assisi, and that's where his tomb is today.
Yeah. So, Joni, so he himself obviously was a pilgrim, but in this chapter, or in this section of the book, you talk about him as an evangelist for pilgrimages. So where's that connection come from?
Yeah, so he encouraged people to go on pilgrimage. We actually have I think it was the mother of, or it was a connection to his nanny, went on pilgrimage herself to Lourdes. I forget whether it was her nanny or his nanny's mother maybe, and actually had a conversion to the faith when she went to Lourdes. And so he was always encouraging people. But then also, I think he's a reminder to us of why we go on pilgrimage, because his mom talks about how he loved to go on, basically on retreat in Assisi. He loved to withdraw to these places, but he was really going to recharge his battery. She says for him, quiet was not an escape from the world, but rather a place to live with God and listen to his voice. And so it's a reminder to us that pilgrimage is not an escape. We talked about that earlier in the book, but is really a place to go and hear the Lord so that we can have the energy to go back out. And so I think what Carlo does for us, he encourages us to go to these places, and he was always encouraging people to travel, but with the right intention, that we're going to these places to hear the voice of the Lord, to then go back out into the world. And I think that's a really important lesson. We'll also see with Ignatius at the end of the book, but that's a really important lesson for us, because sometimes pilgrimage can feel like, oh, well, you're going to escape the problems. And no, I'm going to hear the voice of the Lord to come back into the problem.
Right.
Which is important.
And, Joni, I think that kind of leads us into the next section here, that so often people go on pilgrimages and we think, okay, I'm going to take these intentions to this saint, or I'm going to, and this will all be taken care of, right? And you make, and you use Zélie Martin, Saint Zélie, as an example of sometimes prayers seem to be unanswered. Can you tell us a little bit about Zelly?
I loved reading her story about pilgrimage to Lourdes. I had a few different saints that have taken pilgrimages to Lourdes, and I didn't know who to focus on. But I loved her story because her pilgrimage was absolutely terrible. I'm from the world's view. She goes, and they have terrible food, and they had terrible weather. She lost a rosary that she considered very dear. She lost her rosary when she was there. I think they lost their luggage. They had a terrible time. And when they came back from pilgrimage, she was not cured. So Zélie Martin died of breast cancer, and she went to Lourdes asking for a cure. And she came back, and she did not have that cure. She was not cured physically. And people criticized her, actually. Like, why are you going to Lourdes? You're leaving your daughters at home. You're leaving your other kids at home. Why are you doing this? And when she didn't receive her miracle, people questioned it. People criticized her trip, which is pretty bold.
Yeah.
But she wrote, "I'm not cured. On the contrary, the journey has aggravated the disease. I am not sorry I went to Lourdes, although the fatigue has made me worse. At least I will have nothing to reproach myself with if I'm not cured. In the meantime, let us hope." And she actually, so basically she was like, I'm going to do all I can, right? And the most powerful thing I can do is pray. But then also to be open to the will of God. And I think that time of pilgrimage actually gave her a grace of happy death and a grace to suffer those last days. So that's not what she went on pilgrimage for. She wasn't looking for a grace to suffer well.
Right.
But God gives us the grace that we need, regardless of whether it's what we're asking for sometimes.
Right. So, Joni, when you talked about other saints going to Lourdes, can you, as we kind of close out our segment here, can you recall any of the other saints? I know they're not in the book itself, but what other saints did they go for cures, or did they just go out of a great pilgrimage site?
Yeah, so the one I meant to put in the book, and I forgot, and I didn't realize it until the book came out. I was like, I forgot to mention St. Maximilian Kolbe, who is another relatively modern saint, and we have his letters to his brothers. He went to Lisieux, to the home of St. Therese, and he went to Lourdes to pray and to ask Our Lady's intercession for his evangelistic trip to Japan. So Maximilian Kolbe went to Japan and founded a huge Franciscan friary there. I love Maximilian Kolbe. And he went on pilgrimage to ask Our Lady to kind of protect his trip. And writes about his time in Lourdes. Which is
well, we're going to talk more about that next week, Joni. And thanks so much for being with us. Have a great weekend ahead.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Pat. God bless.
Take care. Bye-bye. Joan Watson, our Thursday guest. She's always amazing. And we're talking about making a pilgrimage, her book, A Companion for Catholics. It can be found at Emmaus Road Publishing. Great little book. I would encourage all of you to get it.
Yeah, I got to get it because, to tell you the truth, I've been paying very close attention with your chats with her on this book, and I've been trying to transcribe every word.
Have you?
And I've got,
just get the book.
I got the first 7 words, but that I can't keep up.
I
got to buy the book. That's all there is to it.
Buy the book. It's much easier than trying to transcribe.
Thanks for joining us on Morning Offering. Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.